Fantasy? Never gonna happen.
Spoiled rich girl. Major daddy issues. What was that?
Don't try to get between me and my dad.
This is your last warning. Welcome to Carrie the Musical.
Riverdale, all new episode Wednesday, April 18th, only on the CW and the CW app.
Welcome to the CW Comic Book Crew. I'm your host, Chris Hoffman. And of course, I got my crew here. Des, Brandon, Rob, and Cecily is back.
Ooh, yes. We did it. We made it.
Send her questions. Send her
yes,
all
we
your
want
questions.
your questions, comments. Join in. We're gonna respond to
everything.
everything.
She's got her live pay, so
yes,
give us we've got a huge show again today.
Cool show.
You know,
yeah.
When do we ever not have a big show?
A few weeks back, we had a kind of an okay show. Tonight, though, tonight, whatever time it is.
Well, let's get back because CW made some huge news.
Yeah, man, we did. We got some huge news. Everything, for the most part. For the most part, there was a few that fell through the cracks, but that's the reason they fell through the cracks. Everything's been renewed. All our favorite shows: Flash here, so tomorrow, Black Lightning, Dynasty, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, Jane the Virgin. Riverdale, Supernatural will be back for their 14th season.
Which emphasis on the Riverdale.
I know, right? But Supernatural, 14th season. That is a monumental
number.
That's
the biggest news already. That's
right
crazy.
There, right? And of course, Supergirl will be back as well. All our favorites will be back. Sure. And I'm excited. I think there was a lot of up in the air of can we sustain all these shows? And the answer is yes, we can. Yeah. We can continue moving forward with interesting storylines and interesting content to provide to you guys.
Well, of course, we've got the new night coming up, so there can obviously Sunday night's going to be coming.
we're gonna have a few schedule changes. We'll get to that eventually. At one
what I
point.
want to talk about is Supernatural. Does it have the legs to be the Simpsons of the CW?
Whoa.
What I mean is the longevity.
Yeah.
I don't mean the
it's only
pop
because,
culture
like,
effect,
I mean, like Matt Groening basically is printing money at this point.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like, we all know that season 7 was the best. Like, their apex. Now they've just been tailing off ever since.
It's true. But
The Simpsons, not Supernatural.
But Supernatural slant, I think so. I think what we learned from Scary Natural, which is the Scooby-Doo Supernatural crossover, is okay. Maybe it wasn't for everybody. Hardcore Supernatural fans didn't really like it that much. New people who have never watched an episode, or people when we watched a handful of episodes, really did like, and that's what it was for. And I think
people were posting about it on
right. It was getting
never see posted about Supernatural.
Normally it's like, I watch Supernatural. You don't. Like,
exactly.
But it was getting a little momentum, and that's interesting. So if they can do stuff like that, they can walk that line between keeping old fans happy and bringing new fans in, which is a very thin line nowadays. Yeah. But I think that show can.
Quickly can become pandering if you.
Right. It really can.
Real quick, I want to ask the crew, which, I'm going to start with Cecily. What was the one show you were happy that they renewed?
The originals. I know it's not superheroes, but I'm really set on this
and they are returning.
The originals.
They are returning.
Yes, I'm excited for that.
I think Black Lightning, that it's already so early on. It's already getting this renewal. I mean, it's cool to see that they're going to give it the chance to run and see what they can do with it.
Sure. Brandon, I think I know what your answer is, but
Arrow. Yeah. Honestly, Arrow is I know you're thinking Riverdale is probably definitely, but no, Arrow, season 7, 6 it's been kind of rocky. It's been real interesting, which makes me think that the season finale, which will be coming up eventually, is going to be very
big deal.
Big deal. I think it'll be a bombshell because going into another season with such kind of a meh kind of feeling in the air is bold.
Do you think they're going to be able to top last year's cliffhanger? With,
I think they know what they're doing at this point, and they have an idea of like, all right, how can we do this? And of course, the other thing I'm excited about, we will see a massive crossover once again. It has to be. All the shows are here. All the chess pieces are in place. What's the next crossover? That's what I'm really interested in.
Scooby-Doo crossover.
I have no idea what it's going to be.
What was yours?
Dynasty.
And then we move on.
I'm really excited to see a 4th season for DC Legends tomorrow, because this is a show that people keep like. It's like the redheaded stepchild of this whole group, but it still continues to do well. I love that, and I can't wait to see what happens in season 4.
I know, and of course Riverdale, but I think that was one that was going to be renewed.
Oh yeah, there was no doubt.
There was none that was on the fringe, but if I have to, I think Arrow too.
Arrow's up there. And then right under that, Flash. Yeah. Flash is also it's going on with season 6 now. Very interesting. Oh, 5. Sorry, 5. Sorry, it's right in front of me. But coming up this week, we will see a special final episode, directed by the one and only Kevin Smith, who is still recovering from a heart attack. I don't want to say recovering because he's up and moving.
He's
doing
been
shows.
losing a lot of weight, and he's been getting physically fit and getting back out there, man. So when he got his wake-up call, he got his wake-up call.
But more importantly, what we'll see in this week's episode is Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes. We will see Jay and Bob as security guards. Jay and Bob.
Jay and Silent Bob.
On the nose there, Mr. Smith.
He actually wasn't the one who approached. It was the writers of the show wanted to put Jay and Bob in the show, and he's never going to turn down. No, he is a working man. He knows if you're not working, then you're not doing anything. The old Rollins thing.
Well, you know, when he directs, it's always going to be a laugh fest as far as
going to be an interesting show.
Of course, this is going to be an interesting show.
He's great at dialogue.
The fact that they're going to be part of the Arrowverse now is.
I know, right? That's why I'm excited about the crossover.
And I know you were talking about Riverdale. And they got some news too that just came out today.
This is. I'm going to show you something that no one else has shown. This hasn't been online. This hasn't been anywhere. This is the official artwork and official poster for the upcoming episode of Riverdale for their musical episode for Carrie.
Look at that.
It's a vintage kind of look. Very interesting take. You see Carrie in the background and the whole cast right in front of you there.
The folded one sheet.
Folded one sheet, right. Very interesting. I don't know exactly what they're going to do with these. I know they were pretty much handed out kind of, hey, here's the art we're doing, and that was all we were told. So this is exclusive. You will never see this.
Well, if we can get our hands on it, you can tell there's
right
going to be
now.
someplace. If we can get some hands on it, there's going to be a giveaway in the works on this one.
So we'll see what we can do. But there it is. You'll be seeing more of that in the next few days and whatnot. And then let's move over to the big screen, right? Let's move over.
Over the weekend, we had a little trailer come out, and I like Solo.
I think I get a little.
I love the little trailer. Hey, when you're talking Avengers, this is kind of pales in comparison.
I mean, does it?
Solo, I like it.
So we want to talk about Star Wars real quick. Okay. We had other stuff in mind too. But, all right, we'll talk about Star Wars first. Okay. So yeah, over the weekend, kind of out of nowhere, right? Like, is anybody expecting a trailer for Solo?
Watching WrestleMania and then just like, it's on.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah, because I mean, you're gonna. If you want to get those eyeballs, you're going to put it in the place where there's probably going to be the most eyeballs on the weekend. It's going to be that.
Yeah. So let's take a look at the trailer for Solo in its entirety, all 2 minutes and 9 seconds.
You're after something. Is it revenge? Money? Or is it something else? You look good. A little rough around the edges, but good.
Heard about a job. Big shot gangster putting together crew.
I'm a driver, and I'm a flyer. I waited a long time for a shot like this. What do you think? Well, what do you know?
You got a line on a ship?
Yeah, I know a guy. He's the best smuggler around.
I heard a story about you. I was wondering if it's true. Everything you've heard about me is true.
L3!
Let go of the mean man's face.
Who are these guys? If you come with us, you're in this life for good.
You might wanna buckle up, baby.
Here they come! Let me give you some advice. Assume everyone will betray you, and you will never be disappointed.
I got a really good feeling about this.
Since when do you know how to fly?
190 years old? You look great.
Push it! So glad we took this job!
A lot going on.
A lot going on that one.
A lot going on, and that's the first thing we've seen since this movie was announced, and it comes out next month. I'm bombarded with how much can we take as an audience. I think it's amazing that this has kind of been a secret, right?
Yeah.
Like it's been out there. They said they weren't going to do it, but we haven't seen any set shots. We haven't seen any costumes. This is kind of the first big thing. I mean, we saw a little bit of
Ron Howard keeping it close to the belt there.
Right. So very interesting. I think it was good. I think it hit all the notes I wanted to see. We saw the Falcon. We saw Chewbacca. Chewbacca's relationship with Solo is a little interesting, just because it's not new. It's still they're best friends again.
Yeah.
So I guess I kind of wanted to see how they met, kind of thing, and I
Like
don't
an
get
origin.
that. Maybe that's in the movie.
In the movie, we're like
it might be in there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
It
this
seems
is a
like
trailer.
it has that the Magnificent Seven kind of setup, but we got to put a team together. And all
Yeah,
stuff.
it's definitely it has a cool Western feel. I mean, that's my bag.
Yeah.
That's always been my bag.
It is.
I do worry that if he ends up being great as Han Solo, I worry that he may end up still being passed over just because some of the other characters maybe weren't interesting. I want more Donald Glover as Lando.
Yes, we need a solo Lando movie. I've been saying this from the jump.
Yeah, just from that little bit there, I was like, oh my god.
Donald Glover is definitely
Maybe we're going to
good
see
at
how
this.
he wins the Falcon from Lando, in a poker game. So
I don't know, maybe
I
some
love it.
Colt 45 references.
That's what I want. They start making Colt 45 with Lando on there now. Like I'm like, yeah. I say Lando. I know it's not Lando. It's Billy D. Williams. Whatever. I can't think. On the note though, we see a lot of Woody Harrelson in this movie.
Yeah.
In this trailer for this movie. More news from Woody Harrelson. We got more news coming out of the big screen about Woody Harrelson. He's actually in the Venom movie. We know he's in the Venom movie. Right. We don't know who he's supposed to be.
No.
In that note, there's rumors, there's hearsay, there's, hey, this could happen, that he will play Carnage in the upcoming Venom.
Well, really early on, that was a big rumor for Venom that Carnage was going to be in it. And so that kind of pushed, the comic side of this of like the first appearance of Carnage started getting real expensive.
Right.
And then as it's been going on, you've seen more trailers or more stills, no reference of Carnage.
Which is the way you want it. Like you want it to be the reveal. Cool.
Exactly.
And I can't think of a better person to play Carnage. It's kind of like Green Goblin. Like when Green Goblin was played by someone.
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe, thank you. It was on the tip of my tongue. He was a perfect Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Like when I see Green Goblin, that's the voice I hear is Willem Dafoe. I think Woody Harrelson could be a perfect Carnage in the sense he's methodical, he's very interesting, and he can play a wide variety, and he's known for not wanting to take a role unless he likes it.
I mean, that creepy redneck version of Cletus, I mean, as Carnage, that'd be very interesting to see.
Right, exactly. So that was off to that one. Right. Taking one more step back, what we're going to talk about is some Avenger news. Robert Downey Jr. posted a little photo asking the fans, begging the fans, please leave the spoilers in the screening room. Don't go out there and tell everybody what's happening. We're going to do our best because we got an Avengers special coming up, not to give out any spoilers, but we do want to talk about what led up to. That will be not next week, but the following week on the 20th, that'll be our Avengers special. You can check that out. We'll be having all the whole gang. Robbie won't be able to join us. Unfortunately, we'll get some notes, make sure your voice is heard, but we're going to have really fun with that.
I think so. I love the hashtag Thanos demands your silence.
Yes.
So,
I mean, he said
they had to kind of put it
you're
out
right.
there.
I'm sorry, 23rd. Not
23rd.
20th.
We're going to have our Avengers special on the 23rd.
I mean, and it's no hashtag cashtag.
It is not.
It's not hashtag.
So let's move on to some video game news. Also over the weekend, another thing dropped that I don't think anybody was really expecting. We got some actual gameplay footage of the new Spider-Man game coming out.
It's coming up.
It is coming up soon in September.
I think it's the 7th?
7th, or I think 7th or 12th or something like that. 7th. Yep, says right here in front of me. We got to see some more of the action that we've all kind of been craving and wanting. Game Informer put out a good chunk, I think like a minute and a half of just gameplay footage. Very brutal stuff in some of the scenes when he's fighting, but it has all the things we want. One thing I really liked, and this was kind of posting around a lot, is the fast travel mechanism where Spider-Man gets on the subway and just hangs out in the subway with his cell phone.
But it's so millennial. It's so awesome.
It makes sense.
It makes sense because you want the Spider-Man to show this is kind of our current decade, well not decade, but our current cultural aware Spider-Man.
Right.
So he's not going to be like, oh yeah, I'm brooding, blah blah blah. No, I'm going to be on my phone, probably playing
Brick Breaker or whatever.
Fortnite. No, Fortnite.
Right?
Playing Fortnite.
No, he was playing one hand. It was definitely Brick Breaker. No, it was very interesting stuff we saw. It was a lot of classic Spider-Man game stuff we saw. The swinging around. I can hear Hero from the first Spider-Man movie playing. When I'm looking, I'm hearing Chad Kroger and the guy from Saliva.
Why?
I know.
You just wanted to crack Joker's
Maybe train song or
right. Really good stuff. We know a little bit more. The Kingpin will be in this gang. We know what else, Des? What else can we talk about?
I'm kind of excited for Mr. Negative. Just because we've seen Hobgoblin, Kingpin, the regulars. But I mean, even though in the comics Mr. Negative is a regular, but we actually get to see him in video game form. I'm super because we also get to see him conflicting with his newfound, well not his newfound, but his abilities and how I'm running my business, but also trying to stop Spider-Man from ruining my business.
Yeah, I like this idea. I like the. It's getting real salty online because people are realizing that this is a PlayStation 4 exclusive.
Yeah.
It will not be on any other console.
I mean, that was said from the jump.
I know, but
a PlayStation.
It's starting to come out. Once the game footage came out, I knew it was going to be a thing. So.
I mean, I think there's no secret. This was probably the most awaited game everybody was waiting for from E3. Like, it was probably the more exciting one. And
I mean, God of War comes out next week.
But I mean, God of War.
Is anybody waiting for that one? Or we
God of War? No. It's been long enough and trailed enough. I know. That's. I'm taking the whole. I'm taking the career off to play God of War.
Apparently, yeah.
It comes out the 20th. I'm just retired.
He's gonna face all alive, but it's just the beard's gonna grow.
I gotta get that Kratos beard going real nice.
Looks like we got some stuff to talk about.
We do. We have a question from Tony. He's asking, how does everyone feel that the most big-name writers are leaving Marvel Comics to go write for DC Comics?
Whoa,
that's a good question.
You know, it's kind of switched roles. DC a couple years ago was losing a lot of the talent to Marvel, to the independents. And now that it's kind of happening the other way around, or DC's kind of snatching those guys up, I think Scott Snyder was somebody who was probably one of the first to kind of make those bricks fall of DC, realizing, like, we got to keep these guys in here.
Sure.
And now they have these guys on exclusive contracts. I think Marvel's going to try and go the route that DC went a couple years ago and try and discover or find the new guys, like Donny Cates. I mean, they already have Jason Aaron and stuff like that. But yeah, of course, Brian Michael Bendis was a huge loss to them. He's crafted so much of the Marvel Universe, and it'll be interesting to see what he does at DC. I mean, and who knows, it may not even work. I mean, he's a great writer, but he's been fantastic writing Marvel characters, and maybe he won't know how to write Superman.
Right.
I mean, who knows?
It's hard to translate those characters. It definitely is. I think it's interesting because Marvel, a few years back, you would have never said they would have lost their comic book, their comic book pull. Now it's kind of swaying. The pendulum is going back over to the DC and indie kind of thing, which is very interesting. However, I don't think it's done in play. I think Marvel is focusing efforts on, hey, these are our movies. These are our entertainment factors we really want to focus on. We're just going to put these on the back burner. We're not going to focus on them. Yeah. Now, once these movie contracts are kind of over and stuff, we could see that pendulum swing all the way back because there's going to be a wide variety of stories to be told. That being said, I'm always a fan for bringing in new talent and see where it goes. Yeah. The problem with that, though, is that you get someone who's young and ambitious and wants to change the way the wheel turns and whatnot.
And then you get that nerd rage going out.
Well, no, not necessarily Alan Moore, because he has an idea of the grand scheme of things. I'm saying the guy who's like, this is my one shot. I'm going to make Iron Man dead. And you're like, whoa, dude. You know, like, and now we have to pick up the pieces from all these problems. And Marvel came into that problem where they had all these great characters and there's people writing for them, and then they kind of failed, and they went, well, what do we do? Yeah. So you wrote yourself into a corner that now you have to, come out of.
Reboot that they're doing this summer is kind of taking notice of that. This was probably one of the worst sales years for Marvel in some time, and so they're kind of like, well, we got to go back to the drawing board. We're moving some guys around. They're taking Dan Slott off Spider-Man. They're putting Nick Spencer and Ryan Ottley on it. Ryan Ottley from Invincible. He was a huge artist on that book for so long. And then they're giving guys like Donny Cates a chance to write Venom. He did such a great job with Thanos. That's probably one of the better selling books from Marvel right now. And so I think they're taking steps in the right direction to try and do something different, but they kind of have to be in the same boat that DC Movies is in right now. Sure. Just do your own thing. Don't worry about trying to catch up to the other guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just do your own thing.
I think, I mean, end of the day, they didn't fail. They didn't. Like, it wasn't like books weren't being sold. They were still selling. They were, comparatively to any indie title out there and stuff like that, it's just hand over fist. It does not compete. However, when you get down to the nitty gritty, DC in the comic book world did kill Marvel, much as Marvel killed DC in when it comes to video games and movies, especially movies. Video games is on the frisk.
No, it's not.
Because we got Injustice, and that's about it.
I'll say it and I'll say it again, like DC has them on comics, has them on video games, and has them, I would say they're kind of neck to neck on TV shows, but I mean, like, animations, like DC.
I would disagree with TV shows. I think DC's hand over fist over TV shows. Because any Marvel show that comes out, it's kind of a one and done at this point.
Well, because they don't know how to handle Marvel. Like, there's been, like, you can't cancel, like, freaking Agent Carter. It's a great show, but then you cancel it because you don't know what you have.
Yeah. Well, you don't have a longevity for it. You don't know where you're going with it, and does it coincide with this great timeline that we have now put together that people expect everything to kind of piece together. It's writing yourself into a corner. You get to such a great idea. You're like, oh, this is gonna be cool. We're gonna have, you're gonna have the Civil War, but reversed, and then you're like, well, now what? Well, we didn't write after that. Like, I don't know, because, you know what I'm saying? So,
no one puts Peggy in the corner.
Right, now they're right. I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong because their movies are fantastic. Black Panther was amazing and it was unexpectedly amazing. And I think Avengers Infinity War will be amazing for much of the same reason Black Panther was. Even more so because you'll have this great cast of characters. That being said, at the end of Avengers Infinity War, I don't know where they're going.
Right.
And that's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just a thing.
Hopefully they have a plan.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
You know,
that being said, I think it's cool that DC is kind of capitalizing and winning where they can, where they can. And I think it's cool. I can say the same thing for Marvel. I think it's cool that they're winning where they can, when they can.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I know we got some comics sitting
We
over
do
here,
got some
Rob.
comics. Let's talk about books first, and then we'll talk
Yep.
about the big event that happened last week with Dark Knight Metal. We have a whole rundown of that too.
So this week there's a couple different books come out, obviously. Venomized was one of the books I picked up. This is a brand new book from Marvel. It's spinning out of the Edge of Venomverse and the Venomverse storylines that came out earlier this year. So basically these poisons or venom symbiotes from another world have come down to Earth and are wielding like weapons that shoot symbiotes out. So they're like, they're starting to take over all the superheroes. So real quick right away, this book really spins out of control of like, man, I don't know who is who, and a bunch of symbiote-like characters run around that like resemble slightly like Punisher or whatever. And so I think that was a kind of an issue that maybe this seemed cool in someone's mind, but when they're trying to get this done on artwork-wise, it was a little rough to kind of follow.
It was a video game, wasn't it? Fractured Time, right? Like, besides with the symbiote gun, it's essentially Fractured Time.
Yeah,
right?
But yeah, so Venom and the X-Men who were from the last storyline who were out in the other world have come back, and they are trying to help save everybody, stop all this, but real quickly, it seems like, you know, you got a Venom Thanos, like it's kind of hard to like think you're going to stop that. So,
right.
We'll see how this goes. It's a mini series to see what they do with it.
Do we know how many books are scheduled for that? Or
I believe it's going to end up being 6, but
that makes sense. I mean, normally it's 6 or 12.
With the movie coming out, they may end up letting it run. Who knows?
Longer. This is one I was actually really excited about. I heard about it last week, and I was like, we should make a graphic. I'm like, no, Rob's going to come in with it. I know.
So
I doubled down.
Deathstroke. I know it's Deathstroke Batman on it, but this is the regular Deathstroke book.
Number 30.
So for number 30 to number 35, they're going to be doing this 6-part story arc where Batman is making a cameo appearance. And as you see here on the title, it says the lie that changes everything. Right away in this book, they get right into something that's been kind of set in stone for probably the last like 10 years.
It's not a secret.
Yeah.
So I think you should tell people because it's not a spoiler at all.
No spoilers.
So Damian Wayne is Robin, obviously, and he is the product of Batman and Talia al Ghul.
What? This is the first I'm hearing of it. Oh my gosh, I made the connection. What?
So they make reference in here of maybe that's not true. So it's kind of interesting, and so Batman is dead set on finding out if this is real or not. So this kind of feels like a superhero version of Mari.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, wow, this seems really...
Do I have to keep paying child support?
The DNA results are in. But
the guy who's the greatest detective didn't just go, oh, cool. Nice.
But it's kind of interesting the standoff you're going to get with Deathstroke and Batman because, you know, Batman gives him the I let you work in this town, and Deathstroke is like, you know, no, I let you live and all that stuff. So it's kind of interesting to see their dynamic and see how this is going to unfold in this whole story. I think that's probably more interesting than the actual
that's
story.
what I was saying. That's the story.
Let's just cut to the
I feel like this is one of those titles that they made as Deathstroke 30, but really could have just been Batman versus Deathstroke. And we could have just all enjoyed the weird story they put between it, but we just want to see the fight scene between Batman and Deathstroke. That's what we want.
As talented as Christopher Priest is as a writer on Deathstroke, I would have loved if Tom King was able to be involved in this some fashion, because I think it would have made it a lot more cooler. Nice. But it's still a cool read. I mean, I think it's a setup. So as we get more information, I think it'll be a lot better once it starts unfolding.
Yeah.
But, it's kind of interesting. They kind of use that to really get you hooked right away. Of like, hey, this could be different. Sure. And this last one here is an indie book from Image that when I saw in the previews guide a few months ago, I was kind of interested in. So it's a book called Analog. In the not so distant future, the internet has pretty much fallen, I guess, and so in that future there are no secrets. So this basically this D-Day event type happened, Skynet type event, I guess, and so everyone has been exposed. You know, unflattering photos.
Oh, that's like
an
episode of South Park.
Right?
Yeah.
And so in this future, the gentleman on the cover, Jack, he is what they call a courier, and so if you want secrets to be told to somebody or sent to somebody like a message, you need to hire one of these guys, and so he will physically take it to somebody. But of
You got
course,
nothing
people
to tell anybody. That's incredible.
And that hand.
Yeah.
You
But
know?
yeah. So, and then obviously in this world where secrets are being kept, people want to know them, and so they're obviously after people like this. So it's kind of interesting.
It's my job to kind of make fun of things, but I actually really dig this idea, and I love this story. It's very Black Mirror-esque kind of thing like that. But
it definitely has a gritty look to the artwork inside.
And I hope it has a long span, because I think you can get really interesting with kind of the Blade Runner kind of feel to it, too.
It does have that kind of feel, and so I'm interested to see where they go with this. I was digging the first issue, so kind of excited to see what they do.
And then last but not least, in the world of comics, we're going to talk about Dark Knight Metal, which concluded last week with the last issue, with number 6. Thank you. And it kind of got mixed reviews, kind of overall praised. I'll say that. It was praised for what it was.
I feel a lot of it has to do with Scott Snyder.
Yes, no, I agree.
Absolutely,
Absolutely, I
worship Scott Snyder. So
right.
It's really
He
hard
cannot
for him to
do wrong.
Yeah.
Right. But we want to do a good, bad, and the ugly. Get the whole treatment. I'm going to start with the good, because I think the good of this comic is very easy. It's the art was always on point. The art was fantastic. Never once did I flip through a page and go, oh, okay, and then flip on. Like, I was constantly picking a book back up and looking at it going, wow, this is really pretty. This is something I would like on my wall. You know what I'm saying? It was constant art on it. On that note of the art is, and on the lines of Scott Snyder, he did this really great job of building up an already interesting story. So off the first book, very interesting. By the time I got to the 6th book, I was enthralled. I was like, this is actually really, really good. And then it nosedived. Very quickly.
Vacation.
It really quickly nosedived for me, but we'll get back to that. What about you, Rob? What was your good for this book?
I think just maybe the ambitiousness. I can appreciate. I can appreciate it. For them to just sit back and create basically a whole other world with nothing really given, and get people to be enthralled in it, and to be probably the highest grossing franchise of this year in terms of the books. I think that was a great job by him and Capullo and Jim Lee and just all these guys sitting together and crafting this. And so just the different characters that just with one character, that Batman Who Laughs, I mean, people were already like, I want statues, I want comics, I want him in the movies.
It was definitely iconic, instant iconic.
I want him in the movies.
I think one thing that did brought that back, and I was going to tell you this when we were talking about DC and Marvel, is the lack of bullpen now. This feels like a bunch of guys sat in a room and got this story together, and then they put it out over
who's
time.
who of who the top guys are in the industry.
And that's what it feels like. It was definitely a bullpen kind of thing where, okay, we want to do this. All right, we have a character design now, let's write the world around it. Very interesting, cool stuff. But it did pay off in the sense that it is very interesting. Anybody else have comments for good? Good.
No, of course, your artwork, I mean, you can take any of those and I want to put them up on my wall.
Beautiful, right.
I just think that drew everybody in, no matter what was in between the pages. I think, you can attest to this. Some comics sell just because of the artwork. So.
I mean, the fact that they had so many different covers coming out, and Greg Capullo, Jim Lee, Kubert, John Romita Jr. is not my favorite, but people still like him. So, Tony Daniel, there are a lot of different guys who are really top tier artists.
I felt like
in the industry.
every month it was just like, oh, there's 7 more covers, and I want them all because they're all people I enjoy and I want to see more of their work.
What was the bad?
Yeah.
All right, the bad. The thing we all don't really dig is the last kind of panel of the last issue. It was Bruce bringing in Wonder Woman and Superman as their other personas, showing them a blueprints of what would be the Hall of Justice. And I felt like it was such a lackluster ending. I was like, I don't care, and it was such a hey guys, hey, Hall of Justice guys, and it wasn't a payoff for me. I'm like, this isn't a payoff. It feels so.
Were you looking for the other? You're like, well, where's the rest of it?
Right. I was like, I get what you're trying to do, and Damien's in the other room having a party with his sweet Marshall lamp. He had a stack. It was the first thing I noticed. But I was like, that's cool, and all. Swamp Thing was there too. Cool stuff, but it was just so bash you on the head with what we're gonna do next. I didn't dig that. I felt it was just too much.
Yeah. I think the bad would have to be just that maybe ambitiousness was also the bad in this. Like, it was just too much that was trying to get shoehorned into this event. There was the 6 issues. There was the 13 one-shots. There was the other, 7 different tie-ins from other books. I mean, it was a very huge, encompassing book that was very intimidating, to be honest, to a lot of readers. People just kind of gave me I'll wait till it comes out. And the fact that they're putting out 3 separate graphic novels to make this event whole that's a lot to put out for a story that's only 6 issues long for the main title.
With a bunch of deals.
Yeah, basically.
So let's move on to the thing that pays all the bills. It gets everybody all together now. The ugly.
Yeah.
What was the ugly of this title? And it's real simple. It's kind of what you're just like, there was no payoff. The ambition was really high, but everything got wrapped up in a nice little ball with a little bit of emphasis that could be a sequel, but everything was it was very wrapped up in a ball, and now here we are going, okay, it's over. I don't feel like I lost anything. I don't feel like I gained anything other than maybe Batman Who Laughs. I think that was a gain.
Yes.
But even then, okay, he gets his own comic. Interesting.
The couple characters that they introduced are interesting and what they can do with them in the future.
Right.
I mean, just to hear Batman as those characters that are very dark versions of them, I think people were really into, and it was almost the way Injustice did for comics years ago, where it's just like, wait, Superman killed Joker? Right. So like people wanted to see stuff that you don't normally see, and that's what you get from this.
And that's what I got, but I just didn't feel after 6 issues and a whole bunch of spinoffs, I didn't feel like the payoff was really that worthy of all these spinoffs and all these. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like we kind of got shorted one more, you know, 2 more, something that just really changed the dynamic. In a world of DC where there's intimate universes, Universe 485, you can have anything you want, and I feel like this universe isn't as interesting as it could be had there been big changes. Now, that being said, if there was a big change, I'm sure I would scrutinize it for being too big of a change.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm walking the line. I think it was really cool for what it was. I think the build up till we got to that last issue, and I felt really, I can read that whole comic book now again as a novel when it comes out. I'll be like, wow, this is great. But at the end, I'm still going to be sitting there going, okay, you know,
Mass Effect fan.
Yeah, right. So I mean, it is what it is. But Good, Bad, and the Ugly for this whole book it's still a really great book. It's still, if I had to rate it out of 10, I'd give it a 9 easily without even a thought above my head.
Sure. Well, we're going on to our superhero spotlight.
Yeah, man.
We're going to stay here in San Antonio.
Yeah, man.
That's why we are wearing all of these shirts.
We all got our. Even Cecily over there has her Kappa shirt
Oh
on.
yeah. Full-on Captain America here.
Our superhero spotlight has been many things. He's been governor of Texas. He's been a firefighter. He's the strongest kid that I probably wish I'd got to know. Damon Billeck. He's everything you would want to be in a kid.
Sure.
He loved comic books. It was like, especially Captain America, that was his favorite. Like, he's like more of an Avenger than actually Chris Evans is. Like, he is like
I think
Captain America.
Chris would say that himself.
Oh
yeah. Damon passed away last week. If you haven't looked
13 years old.
13-year-old, you can look up the stories. We don't want to get into too many details because this is a celebration of who he is, not who he was, kind of thing. So for our superhero spotlight, Des, you put together just something we really wanted to end on. We want to say thank you, Damien. I think I can speak for all of us. We say thank you for being the superhero that we didn't deserve, but we definitely needed.
Oh yeah,
yes,
and
definitely in this world.
So
definitely.
Thank you, Damien. That's all we got to say. Let's watch